where did you, I guess, did you start there? Were you there? Were you on other media first? Like, how did this come about?
Yeah, I guess so. I was a performer before I was like on TikTok and things like that. I wasn't like well known by any means, but like that's where like that avenue came through. Like while being on leave of absence from my work because of the pandemic and COVID, I took that as a chance to try and open myself up to do something more creative. And I mean, I started doing TikTok more of like an avenue for performance. So I would do like little songs and duets and stuff. But at that point, TikTok had already moved on from kind of what it was as Musically, where it was more about the like music and the duets and that kind of thing, and moved on to more of a platform about like the random videos that it kind of has become now.
Yeah.
So at that point, I started doing one of the things I think that moved me into the political side of TikTok was during the Trump, like, I guess the election cycle.
Yeah.
There was a point where a bunch of the Trump supporters started using, it's from the Hunger Games, but there's this song that she sings about the hanging tree. And it's like this protest song, like specifically against like this like crazy, terrible, corrupt government. And the Trump supporters were using it as if like they weren't that.
Yeah.
Like the person in power that they were supporting was the person that that song is about. So I did a video calling it out and then asking people to join in like a chain of people singing. And so that kind of hit like a viral edge. And so because of that, I started doing videos that kind of talked about, like politics kind of, but more so on the side of like queer rights and activism and like that kind of stuff. And I think that like the way that I hit my stride was trying to hit like an audience that still wants to learn that stuff and still wants to be interested in it, but wants a little bit of like lightheartedness so that they can get through it. Like, I think that sometimes it's difficult to hit like the hard hitting activism on TikTok. And it kind of has to come from a place of like, not necessarily humor, but it has to come from a place of like tongue in cheek in some way, if you know what I mean. So I think that that's how my TikTok journey kind of evolved, was through coming to a point where I realized about like how you bring interaction to your page and get people interested and then talk about important issues is kind of like how it is, because you have to do both to kind of get there. And I think that I guess that would be kind of how it started, was that whole thing about Trump.
So two questions come to mind when you talk about that. One is, can you just, was it so in 2020 basically that you started using, early 2020 that you started?
Yeah, it was August or September 2020. I started using TikTok. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so it's really quite recent.
Yeah, and it was like it was right when it got the like little bit of a, I guess it got a boost. I don't remember exactly why, but TikTok became more of a thing around the like summer of that year. I guess it had started with some of those like viral TikTok trends, because my friends and I were doing it at work as the pandemic was kind of shutting everything down at the airport. We would like do little dance videos and stuff. And so I started doing like that kind of stuff, but I didn't really post it on TikTok at all. My friends posted it and I just was in it.
Right. Okay. And also my other question was, because you mentioned that you did venture onto YouTube as well. When was that? Was that before? And
it was weird. It was like around the same time, probably like early August. Early September. I started doing YouTube with my fiance, but it was less on the side of activism and more on the side of just silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were doing like silly videos about like good food and like doing like trying different weird things. And I did do a
Right.
video about I did a video about Pride because Lego came out with the Pride collection, and we talked a little bit about like capitalism using the Pride community to like build their own brand, but then at the same time, like the positivity that comes from representation. And like, so we did like a little bit of a long form video, but YouTube's so much harder to build a following on.
Okay.
I would say in comparison to TikTok.
Okay.
TikTok, it's got a really good algorithm for picking up small creators,
Uh-huh.
which if you can hit your stride once you get onto the algorithm, you can kind of
Okay.
keep up a following, which is kind of the issue that YouTube has gotten into, where their algorithm is like now more catered to like the big
Big one.
the big companies, the big like creators.
Yeah. And so did you try any tricks though to get that traction? I mean, like the hashtags. I mean, did you look into what what was necessary to use trends, for example, like or
Yeah. And I mean,
use all those tricks?
I would say trends are one that definitely works. If you can get on like the beginning of a trend and get something that really resonates with what's popular and mix it into your activism, that can really work and that can hit a stride.
Okay.
The problem comes is that when you go off of viral trends, if it doesn't mesh with your actual content that you make on TikTok, people won't continue to watch, which is like,
Right.
which is some of the like issue with like people who make that kind of like one viral hit video based off of another person's. It's like, yeah, sure, they get that like 2 billion or the 2 million views, but like they don't get the retention where you have like people coming to stay. Hashtags, I don't know. I use a ton of them. I've heard that that's not what you're supposed to do.
Oh, okay. All right. I
So
guess
I don't
I'm
know.
old style. I was thinking of Instagram because Instagram you're supposed to use hashtags a lot, right?
Yeah, and I mean, they say that like so like the hashtags that I use, I always make sure that they're relevant to the content. So like never using like FYP, never using like the really big generic ones, because that's not going to bring people that you want to come see your video. You want hashtags that someone would search. So if you're looking at, so if someone went to TikTok and searched human rights, like they want to see videos about human rights. So at least that's like generically branding your, like bringing your content to the people you want to see. Like one that works really well for specifically Canadian politics is like CA Poly. So like, because that's like basically what all the like news media uses. Like it's a way that's actually used it by brands and things to bring people to the correct audience. So using stuff like that is super helpful to kind of bring your target market. But the thing is though, if you hashtag whatever you want and then the person watches the video and then doesn't stay, then it doesn't really matter. The hashtags only kind of can only kind of like direct people to your content. They don't necessarily help in regards to building your content, if you get what I'm saying.
Right. Sure. I see what you mean. And has this become, sorry, Kelly, I'm continuing, but you can step in. How much time do you devote to this now? Has this taken over quite a significant part of your life? And do you still have time for your other stuff?
I mean, I used to, like, during the pandemic, I was, like, the main part of the pandemic. It's still happening. I will recognize that. But like during the like worst part of the pandemic where most things were shut down, there wasn't air travel and I didn't have a job at the time. I was devoting myself to do 3 videos a day, which is a lot for especially activist-based content, because it's like you have to come up with something that's substantial, something that's interesting. That being said, one tip that I would say is that when you start off on TikTok and you're trying to build a following, a good way to try and keep an audience and to build virality is to create content. So as much as it sucks, the more you can put videos out and the more you can kind of, even if it's not something you're like 100% like fully invested in, think it's like your greatest content, as long as you think that it still fits within your target market and you think that that market is still going to appreciate it, then I would just like go ahead and post it. Just make sure that it's not like, you don't want to like ostracize your market either, right? Like you don't want to do something that's going to hurt them. But like that's when like viral trends really help. So if you're trying to come up with a video for the day, look for a viral trend, just add it into one of the videos you're going to do. Like, so do one that's actually like substantial that you really like and you're invested in. And then you want to do something that's like silly and someone might pick up just because they think it's funny, but then it actually has like a small meaning behind it kind of thing.
Right. I see.
But yeah, like I started doing like 3 videos a day or more, depending on how I was feeling. But I also had the privilege of being in Canada where we had CERB at the time. I was actually being paid by not like I wasn't being paid by the airline, but I was being paid by the government through the airline. So I was actually more of a percentage of my salary was being paid to me as a parent as opposed to someone else. So I was eligible, like I was able to try and pursue creative venture as opposed to someone who may be still working a full-time job and trying to do this. But yeah, like one of the biggest things is to try and keep posting as much as you can.
Yeah.
So even now, like I try to post at least 1 video a day because you don't want to, if you have something go viral and you can keep on that viral trend, usually TikTok will continue to push your content if it's something that will continue to resonate with other people.
Right. And you mentioned airline. Do you have a job with the airline industry? Is that
full time in like an airport position. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. And you're performing then as sort of a side gig.
I dropped.
No?
My performing used to be my main thing.
I see. Okay.
About like I think it was six years ago used to be my main thing. But the problem with performing is it's like similar with content creating. It's very volatile. Like it's very rare that you can make a proper amount of money for doing any kind of performance-based thing. It also starts to get, this feels a little bit better for me, but when I was in acting, I was getting to a point where I was very self-aware and like self-deprecating because it was so taxing on your soul to be going in daily or weekly to get somebody to tell you, oh, sorry, you just don't look right. You know what I mean? Like, and even though it's not personal, it kind of gets to a point where it kind of feels personal. And so that part of like the soul crushing audition process, I was like, I can't do it. So I ended up moving towards just like doing stuff that I love in performing. So like, there was a musical group, like not a musical group, but a musical that I was in with the Lower Ossington Theatre Company when it was still a thing. And I was in the musical Avenue Q for 4 years. And I continued to do a little bit of that while I was working at the airline. But it was not something that I auditioned for. It was something that like I was brought back into because it was a group that knew me. So they brought me back because they knew I could do it. And like I've done cabarets and things like where I just get to go sing and like I enjoy that part of it. It's just like the amount of auditioning and stuff was really getting to me. So I had to find something that was a little bit more like sustained.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay. So yeah, just to finish off how you're dividing your time today. So are you back in a job almost full time today in a
For
airline
sure,
job?
full time. Yes. I do work full time. I still am. So I try to do like if I'm working. So like today, for instance, I'm working from I'm working a 10-hour and a bit day, like a 10.5-hour day from 3 until 1:30 in the morning. So what I'll do is I'll come home. I get home around 3. I go to bed, and then when I wake up in the morning, if if I don't have a video filmed for TikTok, I'll usually start looking through all of my like places that I find my information, see if I can find any stories to talk about, anything that I found interesting today, and then compile a couple videos, as many as I can. I don't want to like hurt my mental health, so sometimes I won't post one if I don't have to, or like sometimes I won't like push myself to do it. But usually what I'll do is if I'm off and my fiance is working, I'll film a ton of videos so that I can kind of have like a big like line of them lined up and ready to go, so that I can at least organize my time a bit better around when I post and things like that.
Right. That's great. Do you want to ask a question, Kelly? Because I haven't heard you in our list. I think we covered. I know I have another one, but
you can go ahead, Caroline, if you want. Yep.
Okay. I'm going to ask a question about lives. What do you think of TikTok lives? Do you do them? And what is your take on TikTok, and also on creators getting compensated on TikTok? Because I'm sure you've seen these lives where, well, it's either the what's that acronym called, where they're like making gentle noises, you know, and they're I forget the name of it, but it's supposed to be like soothing. Noises.
Yes, ASMR.
ASMR. Yeah, sorry, I can't remember that acronym. What's your take on these? Well, it's on being paid as a TikTok creator. Is that somewhere in your outlook in the future? And also on TikTok Live, because a lot of these TikTokers, creators get paid or get gifts from the audience during these lives.
Yeah. So TikTok in Canada is frustrating because we don't have the same access to the creator fund that literally everyone else has. Apparently it's coming. I saw an article from TikTok that they posted that Canada's creator fund is something that's on the way. But that being said, a lot of creators don't make too much from TikTok because TikTok is unfortunately very bad with their money. There's actually, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a YouTube creator named Hank Green who's also huge on TikTok. He posted a good YouTube video about like the issues with how TikTok monetizes their content in relation to like how YouTube does. And it's really a great explanation for the kind of issues that are on there. But for me, I used to do lives because lives are kind of the only way that you can make money off of TikTok and kind of feel a bit better about the fact that you're devoting so much time and energy to something that doesn't pay you. I'm passionate about this stuff, so it's not too hard to keep doing it because I like doing it. But in the case of people who are trying to build like a brand off of it and are trying to actually still make money and do that as like a gig, like it's unfortunately very difficult. And lives are probably the best way to do it because it's the easiest way for your followers to gift you. Like they have the little gifts that they can send you. Each one is worth a monetary value, and that can be translated into actual cash that you can then use. That being said, it's very rare that people gift you if you're a newer creator or you're not like doing lives all the time. And sometimes you can do like a 3-hour live and you're sitting there and you think you're doing something great and you don't get anything for it. So it's hard to, I don't know. For me, it ended up being something that I ended up forgoing because I was just spending way too much of my time trying to do something I wasn't necessarily the most invested in. Like it's not, I like the creative side of it, like the content side of it. Although discussions can be fun as well. It can also get kind of abusive. TikTok's got like some iffy moderation guidelines when it comes to things, and live streams are already difficult to moderate. So you have to have people to support you and moderate.
Right.
But yeah, like I would say, like I've been part of the creator marketplace, which is where brands can reach out to you. But another thing with activism is that it's very hard to get a brand associated with you unless they're a brand that deals in activism. So like, for instance, like one of my friends who does content about queer people gotten an offer from the company named Freddie, and they're like an HIV prevention company. But like besides them, I don't know anybody who's been reached out to by a brand in Canada, at least off of TikTok Marketplace. It's a difficult one to get unless you're like a huge following.
Yeah, right. Well, you're getting publicity, which I guess you don't need anymore as if you're not anymore an actor or a performer. But anyway, down the line, I guess maybe that's one of the side benefits.
Oh, for sure. Oh, 100%. There's definitely the benefit that you get publicity. And if I was still doing performance, I think that would be a huge benefit, because the problem though, being a performer, you're also spending so much of your time just doing the performance side of it. And sometimes for like zero to no money. So then you have another job on top. So it's balancing all of that.
Yeah. And maybe unless you can think of, because we don't want to take up too much of your time, what can you talk a little bit about the darker side of TikTok? Are there any like, if you could, are there some things that you would change on TikTok that you would accept for the creator fund? What is some of the abuse that you may have gotten? How do you protect yourself from that? Can you talk a bit more about the darker side?
I mean, like, you can't really trust TikTok to generically protect you as a creator. It's unfortunate, but TikTok has gotten better, I will say. It's not as common to see, it's not as common as it was for death threats to come my way or like things like that. That being said, I also, I noticed that a lot of those death threats were coming from the like Southern states Trump supporter groups, and less from when I do content about Canadians. So it's hard to say whether it's the change in what my content has shifted to. I will get death threats sometimes for doing content about queer people. It's a common one that people are highly polarized about. So sometimes you will get them, and I have once or twice in the last little bit had to block someone, but basically for me, I got to a point where if I had somebody who was commenting anything that was like actually aggressive and hurtful, I just started blocking them. Or I'd make a video and then if they continued to be terrible, I would block them. But I try to call people out as much as I can, but at the same time, like, you want to have an open debate with people, but at the same time, you can't have that like hateful dialogue being thrown at you too much, because it ends up being so taxing on your soul. So I end up blocking a lot of people if I have to, or I just like delete comments. I'm like, I don't care. Like, if you're gonna spread misinformation on my page, if you're gonna blatantly mock people on my page, if you're gonna block or if you're gonna mock me, then I'm not gonna have a dialogue with you. This isn't a dialogue.
It isn't a dialogue.
And so, I mean, like, I would say that probably the darker side of TikTok is just how they deal with moderation, and how often, if you report something, it goes unrecognized as hate. Whereas if somebody mass reports my content, it'll be instantly taken down for whatever they thought that it was. Like, I had one video taken down for adult nudity, and I was like, perfect. So just, this is nude. Like, I don't understand.
You don't understand.
And I appealed it too. And it was permanently taken down. And so
was this just one person or a few people?
I mean, sorry, what was that?
Well, the complaint, did it just come from one person or from like the group of people?
It's hard to say, because you don't get like a notification about who's reported you. You just get a notification once your content has been deemed inappropriate. So once TikTok decides to take the content down, it'll say this content was removed for violating community guidelines. Then you can go in and appeal it. And then if they appeal it and it doesn't go through, then they fully take it down, or they just reissue the
Right.
video back up whenever.
Right.
Um,
And what is the appeal like? Is it like an email? You get to send them an email? Is that it?
no, it's literally you say
Oh.
appeal this. You just say appeal
Oh.
this. I don't know what they do, and then they say yes or no. It's
This is very democratic. Very democratic.
not so much. They're very hidden about like how they do the moderation too. Like I honestly think that it is an automated system at first that kind of feeds through it, but I have no idea what does the appeal process, because sometimes the appeal will go through in minutes, which makes me concerned that it's not actually being looked into. So it's like
that. Yeah.
So what's the point of appealing it if you're just going to have the content be reassessed by another computer and not given that like chance to explain yourself? Like that was another thing that's really frustrating. You try to get through to customer service of, well, I guess I don't even know what it's called, but you try to report a problem with TikTok, and the responses you get are either automated or just not good. Twitter is inaccessible to use them anymore. Like you try to contact them, they're very bad. And I think that's truly where my biggest beefs come from with TikTok, is when it comes to like, well, paying creators, which is frustrating, but then the content moderation, like it's just, maybe it's not biased, I guess, like maybe it's not specifically more of one side than the other that's getting blocked, but it's definitely blocking the wrong people, which is the problem. Like, even if on the other side they're having videos that are technically fine being taken down for the same reasons, which it appears to be happening. Like, I will say that I've seen videos from some of those like uber Republican TikTokers where they say my video was taken down for nudity and I wasn't nude in the video. And I'm like, so it's like obviously an issue all around. Like, so
it's not.
I don't know. It does appear on my end to seem very biased, but like I can only say that so much because I only follow fairly like human rightsy, that kind of content. But I honestly think that overall there's just an issue with it. Like the content that needs to be taken down, false information is just rampant on TikTok and is impossible to get taken down. I saw a girl talking about, oh my God, she was saying that, oh my God, little worms were living in your mask and they were causing you to like get COVID. And it was on like, or no, there was the other one that was like, this politician is actually a lizard. Look at his eyeball. And it was like, and it was a legitimate post. Like the person was like 100% legitimate about it. I reported it and they said, no, it's fine.
Really?
Yeah.
That is strange. Okay. That's really interesting because, if they had, taken into account your reporting and just taken it down, then what you're saying would be true, which is it's equally basically automated. As soon as anyone signals anything, it's just taken down. That would at least be, impartial at least. But if you're saying that, you said something.
It's like an automated algorithm of like, is this hateful? So it like goes through like images and compiles it into something, I guess, or goes through I know the captions tend to get people as well. If you caption your videos, TikTok can read through them. And if it thinks it's hateful, it'll still consider it taken down. At least that's what people are speculating, but it's hard to say because it's a computer system that goes through the video. So it could probably register what's going on in the video, but it's hard for the computer system to be impartial or understand what's truly going on in the video.
Okay. Yeah.
It's why you'll see a lot of creators censor the words like for specifically like Nazi. Like even though that word it's definitely hateful, but it's something that's of historical significance. So you can discuss the fact of like Nazism and that someone is like a skinhead or a Nazi, like, and you can discuss that, but not be that content. But a
Yeah.
lot of people's content will get will get taken down just for talking about Nazis because someone will report it as hate speech,
Right.
and they'll assume that because you said Nazi, it was hateful.
Right.
Even though usually somebody who like is a Nazi wouldn't be like, I don't know, like they wouldn't say the word Nazi. You know what I mean? Like the people who are saying Nazi are the ones who are trying to call it out. The content is just like so frustrating when it gets taken down.
Are you going to do a few TikTok videos about what we spoke about after this? I hope we can see a few. Yeah, you commenting on these issues, because I think it'd be nice to have it on TikTok.
I haven't had it happen to me for a while now, but I actually had one video recently taken out of one of my playlists, but it's still up. I have no idea which video it was, but they took it out of, because we have playlists on TikTok now. It took it out of my COVID-19 playlist, but it didn't actually remove it. So I don't quite understand how it violated content, but then was still allowed to go up. And I have no idea what video it was. But besides that, I've been okay recently. But I for sure would be making another video next time it happens, because it happens far too often.
Yeah. Are you do you have what's it called, that blue? Are you officially referenced as a TikTok creator? No, not yet.
No, not yet. I think it's usually more likely to happen if somebody is like a political figure outside of TikTok. That usually is how it happens. Like someone gets verified from like there's a woman on TikTok who is a doctor in I think Toronto. I'm not 100% certain, but she is verified, and she just went on TikTok like not that long ago, and only gets videos with like a few hundred views.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but she's fully verified because she's a doctor. Like she has a professional standing. And I mean, I get it, but
yeah. I heard, I follow another creator. We follow another creator on We Stop Scrolling called Xavier Watteau. He's an Indigenous teacher in Quebec, and he talks about various issues. And he just got recently the credentials, but I think he had to show that he was in the media, in the mainstream media as well, to get that credential. So something like that. Yeah.
I did have an article written about me. It was about.
Yeah, I know. We saw it, I think.
Yeah. About it was something about the NDP. Like it was during the election.
Yeah.
So I had that article. So maybe I'll do that. I'll throw
maybe
it in.
Give it a try. I think it's probably, I thought it was a question of size of audience as well.
I thought so too, but then I saw that doctor who has like 20 people on TikTok, and she's just verified. I was like, wow, good for you.
It's it's interesting how they can just make the rules, right?
Yeah, it's very strange. It's very
strange. I know I didn't want to keep you, but do you have any ideas if you wanted to use TikTok in pedagogy for young people? Do you have any ideas that come to mind, except other than showing your videos and saying, okay, this is an example of what you can do? Do you have anything that comes to mind? Just asking, just in case.
Like, what do you mean? Like as in?
Is there a way that you would see teachers using TikTok as a tool for kids to create content or to reflect on? I guess, do you see any room for TikTok in the classroom as a tool for teaching? I guess. Does that?
I mean, I would say that it would have to be used in a very because it would have to be taken with a grain of salt. As much as I know that I put out content that I try to curate and make sure that it is correct information, all that kind of stuff every time I do it. You don't know what the intentions are behind every creator, and you don't want to be promoting some things in a classroom where that person is not necessarily a good person. You know what I mean? Like, like there's been so many times where you find out something later about a creator, and now you're worried about the ramifications of that. So, I mean, I think that if TikTok is to be used, it should be used as a, I guess like it would be fun for kids to be able to, and like teens to be able to interact with that kind of content and stuff. The problem is that you then run into like the rest of the content.
Yeah. Oh, we definitely agree. We agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So it's like,
We would.
I think that like there is some wonderful resources on TikTok. The problem is that there's also so much bad on TikTok. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so we're so glad we found you in the midst of all this content. And,
Well, good.
and and I love it. Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting for me. It's really been a discovery for me because I was, I had a really relatively negative image of TikTok, as a tool where anything goes, So.
And I mean, and that's kind of part of it. Like TikTok is good in some ways because of the fact of like it's freedom as a page, but unfortunately the moderation guidelines get messy, and they've gotten better at some of the like severe right-wing stuff. Like that's why a lot of people have moved over to like, what's it called? I don't know what it's called.
Discord or not Discord. Maybe what's that called? Oh yeah.
In Canada, they all use Telegram. I don't know why, but all the conspiracy nuts use Telegram, the messaging app, and they go on these massive chats and just like send things back and forth. It's crazy.
Right.
But like, whatever that one that Donald Trump moved to, it's like TikTok, but it's I can't remember what it's called. But anyway.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, they all moved over to that. So it's kind of gotten a little bit better, and content is getting flagged more often than it used to.
Yeah.
But it's still hard to say that it is truly. I wouldn't say it's a kid friendly app. I would definitely say it is a teen to young adult friendly app. There are things that TikTok does to make sure that it is safe for people over the age of like 14. But like it's hard to say how good. Like it's still kind of up in the air.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for that feedback.
Of course.